Hey guys, it's the Bottom Line View here to do my New England Patriots versus Denver Broncos preview and prediction video, Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning video. New England Patriots versus Denver Broncos, whatever way you look at it, that's what I'm doing. Legacy versus legacy. This is a huge game. If you're a Patriots fan or you're a Broncos fan, you know what's at stake. Number one seed in the AFC is at stake. Legacy of both of these great quarterbacks is at stake. So I'm going to break down the numbers. I'm going to break down the teams. I'm going to break down the matchups in this game. The most important matchups, what I think the Patriots will be doing against the Broncos, what I think the Broncos will be doing against the Patriots. I think in this game, I'm usually in my previews, I do more of a New England approach, a New England side of the preview. This time I think I'm a little more balanced because it's a big game and it's a game that a lot of people are going to be watching. A lot of people want to know, what is Bill Belichick going to do against Peyton Manning? What is John Fox going to do against Tom Brady? And then I'm going to look at Tom Brady and Peyton Manning's past histories against each other. So let's get into this. New England's passing offense is 10th this year, and Denver's is 3rd in passing yardage. New England and Denver are both going to try and pass the ball in this game. Obviously, I think that's the number one thing in both these offenses is passing the ball. They're not particularly strong running the ball, as it says here, 17th for New England, 21st for Denver in rushing the ball. So I think they're both going to heavily rely on their quarterbacks to make plays, which they should, of course. So look for a lot of passing, and I would go with a high-scoring game because their points per game are 3rd for New England, 1st for Denver. Their passing defenses 2nd for New England and 16th for Denver. So that may be a huge thing on the defensive side of the ball. New England's pass defense may be the difference in this game to slow down Peyton just enough to win this game. But Denver does have the first-ranked rushing defense in the league, which could throw off Tom Brady's play-action game, his ability to establish the run versus defense and then hit him with play action. But I think it's something to do with Denver. They just always seem to be in the lead. So when you're in the lead, that causes teams to pass the ball. They don't want to run the ball. When you're down by 14 against Peyton Manning, you're in a bad state right now. You need to start passing the ball. So I think that has something to do with that first ranking in rush defense, even though I know that their defensive line and their linebackers is strong. Points against is 14th for New England and 6th for Denver. And the turnover differential is a huge part of these games every single time. 1st for New England and 9th for Denver, which is very impressive. That's why they're two of the best teams in the league. Just to get started here, all these Peyton Manning, Tom Brady games, always live up to the hype. They always live up to the hype. That's why I'm excited to get this game underway. Can't wait for Sunday. Let's look at the teams now. Quarterback, I would say they're both even. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, both going to the Hall of Fame. It really depends what day it is. What day of the week? Is it Tuesday? Maybe it's Peyton Manning's day. Is it Wednesday? Maybe it's Tom Brady's day. You never know with these two quarterbacks. They both could outplay each other. Running back, I would say even as well. Okay, you don't have Ridley on New England. You don't have Monte Ball on Denver. Those are two big losses, and I think it's too hard to tell. In a game like this, I would say that Ronnie Hillman will probably have a better day than Shane Vereen and Jonas Gray, just because New England's defense isn't that great at stopping the run, as well as they will probably be looking to stop the pass and won't really be paying much attention to the run of Denver's. But Shane Vereen could be a big factor in the passing game as well, so I would say it's even. Wide receivers and tight ends, I would go with Denver. Obvious reasons. They have Demaryius Thomas, who's a top 5 wide receiver in the league. They have Julius Thomas, top 3 tight end. They have Emmanuel Sanders, who's been excellent, and Wes Welker, who's a proven target. Offensive line, again, Denver. New England's is good, but it's been inconsistent this year. Defensive line, I'm going with Denver as well. I think they have, just looking at that number 1 rush defense and I think they have a better pass rush, especially without Chandler Jones. So I'm gonna go with Denver. Linebackers, even with DeMarcus Ware and Von Miller, I think New England's is slightly more. I think that it's slightly better. Uh, Obviously without Mayo, it hurts, but they still have Jamie Collins. They still have Dante Hightower. Akeem Ayers has been big. Um, they just got him. So I think New England's is slightly better for this matchup. I would include DeMarcus Ware as a defensive lineman in this case, just because he really doesn't draw back in coverage or make many plays in the run game. He's more strictly a pass rusher, so I'd include him as a defensive lineman. Um, Defensive backs, definitely going with New England. They have Darrelle Revis, who I think is playing as the best corner in this league right now. Browner is back. They have Alfonso Dennard. They have Logan Ryan. They have Kyle Arrington. Devin McCourty. Uh, don't get me wrong, the Broncos have a good secondary. They have Talib. They have Harris. They have Ward. But I just don't think they have the depth. And really the superstar like Darrelle Revis. Sure, Talib is a good top 10 corner in the league, but he's not Darrelle Revis. Special teams, I would go with New England slightly. I think they have a better returner. Edelman or Amendola are better, and actually not even slightly. I think New England takes this one. They have Matthew Slater, who's a Pro Bowler, and they have Steven Gostkowski, who's an excellent kicker. I think he's only missed one kick this year. Coaching, New England, they have Bill Belichick, 3-time Super Bowl champion. That's all I really got to say about that. Key offensive matchups: Patriots tight ends versus Denver's linebackers and safeties. How is Denver going to be able to match up with Rob Gronkowski, with Tim Wright? That's going to be a huge decider on whether the Patriots are scoring a lot of points or whether they're not. Will Denver decide to put Talib on Gronk? Talib covered Graham last year. I really don't think that's a good matchup for Denver. I wouldn't do it if I was the coach. But it could happen. They could do it. They could have said, hey, you shut down Jimmy Graham. Why can't you shut down Gronk? I think Gronk's a different beast than Jimmy Graham. But it could be a potential thing. They also have Brandon Marshall, who's been playing very well. No, not the Chicago Bears Brandon Marshall. Safeties, TJ Ward. How is Gronk going to respond from last year's ACL? TJ Ward is the man who hit him. So that's a matchup to be aware of. I think Harris is most likely to cover Edelman. I think he did last year in the playoffs. Harris played excellent last year in the playoffs. That was one of the big reasons why they won. And he's been playing good this year. He's their number 2 corner, but I would expect Talib to cover someone more like LaFell, or maybe not even really cover anybody specifically unless it's Gronk, but more just move around. And they don't play that much man coverage. They play kind of an even amount of zone and man. So it's not really a lot of man like New England plays, but still a matchup to be aware of is Harris and Edelman. I think that's 2 little shifty guys going at it. Patriots offensive line, obviously, versus DeMarcus Ware and Von Miller. That's going to be a huge decider on whether Tom Brady is going to be able to have time in the pocket to throw the ball. Defensively for the Patriots versus the Broncos offense. Darrelle Revis versus Demaryius Thomas. Will that happen? What will happen? I think for the Patriots, their best bet is really just playing physical with their receivers. Sure, you're going to get flagged. Brandon Browner's going to get flagged. He's got flagged twice every single game he's played this year. Revis probably got flagged once a game. You're going to get flagged for pass interference. You're going to get flagged for holding. Get in their face. Get physical. Play like you did versus the Colts 03-04. Play like you did against the Rams in 2001. Play that physical style. That's how you disrupt routes. That's how you disrupt good timing and good quarterbacks. So I think Revis versus Demaryius Thomas in prime situations, third downs, that sort of thing will be a big matchup. Brandon Browner versus Julius Thomas on third downs, I think could be a matchup that you could watch, as well as Alfonso Dennard versus Emmanuel Sanders, or Arrington versus Welker. I'm really not decided if they decide to go full out man for a portion of the game, who's going to match up on who, but that would be my guess. Rather Browner with shaded coverage on Demarius or Revis on Demarius. You got Browner on Julius, Dennard or Ryan on Emmanuel Sanders, Arrington versus Welker. Arrington did a very good job against Welker in the playoffs and in the regular season matchup. Interior defensive line of the Patriots versus the interior offensive line of Denver. You know, in that game last year, a lot of it was just straight up the gut, just little shotgun handoffs to Noshawn Marino straight 28, 30 times, and New England couldn't stop it. They were in their sub defense for 90% of that game because they dared Denver to throw the ball or to run the ball. And that's what Bill's strategy was. I think that's again going to be the strategy going into this game. I think New England has a better chance of stopping the run this year. First of all, Denver does not have Noshawn Marino. Noshawn Marino, I think, is a different guy. He's a different running back. One of the most underrated running backs in the league compared to Ronnie Hillman, who's still young, still developing. Last year, New England took advantage of Monte Ball in that situation. So that's going to be a big matchup. And let's get to some little pieces of information here. The Patriots remain the only team in the league to not give up a pass of 40-plus yards. So that means the Patriots are going to not get beat deep. So Peyton is going to have to travel all the way down the field in order to beat the Patriots secondary. And I think that's what Bill's going to do. He's going to force Peyton, especially if it's windy. He's going to force, and Peyton is going to take what the defense gives him. That's what Peyton does best. If he has to run, he's going to run the ball. Except in the red zone. I've noticed that Peyton, 90% of the time on the 2-yard line, is going to throw a fade or throw something in the end zone. So if I'm Bill, I'm looking for a throw in the red zone. Physical cornerback play will be huge for the Patriots, like I said. Same goes for the Broncos. I think that's just a huge thing in this day and age. If you can get away with it, get away with it. I think in a game like this, they're going to get away with more than if the Patriots were playing, say, the Jets. Like I said, New England will go back to last year's strategy of sub-defense for a lot of portion of the game. The Patriots are 7-2 versus Peyton in Gillette Stadium. That's something to be aware of, especially in cold weather, which is Peyton's kryptonite per se. Jonathan Casillas of the Patriots was just traded for from the Bucks. I'm interested to see if he gets any action. I'm suspecting he gets action on special teams. Wonder if he does get action in some third down situations because he is a fast covering linebacker. I read the weather report because I do not live in the Boston area. There's potential for snow or a lot of wind or whatever. But the first time I checked it, there was snow. Now today I checked it and there was heavy winds. So it's one or the other. I don't know if they know exactly what it's going to be. It could be rain, to be honest. But if that plays out, I think that's a huge, huge, huge advantage for New England. Because, as you know, Peyton doesn't throw the hardest ball. He's more of an accurate quarterback. He'll throw ducks at times, but it will get to his receiver. Brady is more of a guy that will throw it as hard as he can and is going to get to the place. It's not as accurate as Peyton, but it's definitely harder. Like I mentioned before, the Patriots will have to pass more often than not because Denver's rush defense is very effective. But I think really the thing for the Patriots in this game specifically is getting up early or not getting up early, but just keeping pace maybe with Denver, scoring back-to-back even, or having a lead because then you're able to diverse your offense. You're able to run the ball when you want. You're able to pass the ball when you want. You're able to use a larger portion of your playbook whenever you want to. And the Broncos, if they're getting up on teams like they have in the past, you're going to be forced to pass, and you're going to have to get away from your run game, and that just plays right into Denver's hands. Alan Branch finally signed with the Patriots. That's a good sign. Maybe he'll play. Maybe he won't. Maybe he will play in the sub packages. Maybe you'll have Will Fork and Alan Branch. That's one thing I forgot about. Will Fork did not play in that game last year. That is one of the biggest reasons why New England got pushed around in those sub packages last year. And that's why Denver was able to run that easily, because Will Fork was not there. They didn't have that big guy able to disrupt plays by himself. The Patriots have scored 24 or more points against Peyton Manning teams 14 of 15 times. So, again, I think it's going to be a higher scoring game. Now let's look at Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning. Obviously, Tom Brady is 10-5 versus Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning is 5-10. Brady, they've been playing since 2001, guys. They've played 15 times. This is the 16th time, Sweet 16. I'm going to highlight a couple performances here. Last year, in the AFC Championship, Brady went 24 for 38, 277 yards, 1 touchdown for a 93.9 rating. That was only good enough to score 16 points. Peyton Manning threw for 400 yards and 2 touchdowns. Obviously, Talib didn't play most of that game. 118 rating. Now, the regular season matchup, 19 for 36 for Peyton Manning, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception, 70.4 rating. That's in Gillette. Tom Brady, 34 for 50, 334 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 107 rating. Let's look at a couple more here in Gillette. 2003 playoff game. Tom Brady was 22 for 37 for 237 yards and a touchdown. And Peyton Manning was 23 for 47, 237 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 picks. So that just shows you how much weather is going to play into this, because everyone knows that was a snow game. So that could be a big decider. A lot of these games where Peyton had a good rating were in his home stadium. So that's a huge thing. I think really coming to Gillette is a huge, big thing for the Patriots. I think that's a big advantage for them, and I hope they take advantage of it being a Patriots fan. Let's look at a prediction that I'm going to predict what Tom Brady and Peyton Manning are going to do in this game. Okay, so if it's a perfect weather game, no weather is disrupting this, I think it's going to be Tom Brady is going to throw 35 times. He's going to complete 28, throw for 310 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. So I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, like I said earlier. Manning is going to throw 42 times. I think he'll throw slightly more, just given it's Peyton Manning, for 30 completions, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. I think just coming to Gillette Stadium, Peyton Manning almost always throws an interception. So I'm going to say that he throws an interception in this game. My prediction for this score is going to be 34-28 Patriots. I think the Patriots, Tom Brady gets a drive late in the end of the game, and it's 28-27 for the Broncos, and Tom Brady drives down the field and scores a touchdown. That's what I think is going to happen. I think the Patriots will win this game by 6 in my prediction, but I think it will be very close, a down-to-the-wire game, and I wouldn't be surprised if it goes either way. But this is my prediction based on all the matchups, all the stats I've given you, the recent history of these two, and just how I think they stack up. I'm going with the Patriots in a close one. So that's been my preview and prediction for the New England Patriots-Denver Broncos matchup this year. Super excited for this one. Check out my Peyton Manning, Tom Brady rivalry video if you guys haven't seen it already. Thanks, guys, for watching, and stay tuned to the Bottom Line View.